September 2017. A South Korean intelligence officer receives a call from Osan Air Base. American B-1B bombers just flew along the North Korean coast. Altitude 26,000 feet. Distance from the border 15 kilometers. North Korean radar network was silent. No intercepts, no alerts, no response. Seoul expected a reaction. Pyongyang gave them nothing. This was not stealth. This was something else. A wall that stopped working without anyone noticing until the aircraft were already gone. North Korea operates one of the densest air defense networks on the planet. Over 600 surface-to-air missile sites. Radar installations every 40 kilometers along the coast. P-14 early warning systems were designed to detect bombers at 180 kilometers. S-200 batteries covered approach corridors from the Yellow Sea to the Sea of Japan. MiG-29 interceptors were on rotating alert status. Observers in coastal towers with binoculars and radios. The doctrine is layered redundancy. If one system misses, 3 others catch it. Detection is supposed to be automatic. The P-14 radar sweeps the sky every 12 seconds. It operates in the VHF band, long wavelength, effective against low observable aircraft that absorb higher frequencies. At 15,000 feet, a bomber should register at 180 kilometers. Operators are trained to classify returns by size and speed. Anything above Mach 0.6 at altitude gets flagged. The system logs every track. Every contact gets a number. Every number triggers a decision tree. This is Soviet doctrine. It worked in Vietnam. It worked in the Middle East. It should work here. If you want to see how detection networks fail under real conditions, subscribe. No speculation, just documented breakdowns. On that September morning, the American bombers flew a standard profile. No jamming, no decoys, no terrain masking. The flight path was visible to anyone with binoculars. Air traffic control in South Korea logged the departure. Japanese radar tracked them leaving Guam. Commercial flights adjusted course to avoid the exercise area, but North Korean Defense Command issued no alerts. No missile batteries went to ready status. No interceptors launched. The network logged nothing. 3 days later, Pyongyang released a statement. They called the flight a provocation. They claimed full awareness. They promised consequences. But South Korean intelligence had already reviewed the intercepts. No North Korean military frequencies showed activity during the flight window. No fire control radars activated. No early warning sites transmitted alert codes. The timeline showed aircraft overhead at 11:47 local time. The first North Korean military traffic appeared at 1:22 in the afternoon, nearly 90 minutes after the bombers returned to base. This was not the first time. In March 2017, 4 F-35As from the USAF conducted strikes at a South Korean range 80 kilometers from the border. North Korean air defense tracked 0 of them. In August, B-1Bs flew the same northern route. Again, no response until hours later. The pattern was consistent. American aircraft operated inside detection range, and North Korean systems stayed silent. Then commanders issued statements claiming vigilance. The cost of this gap is measurable. North Korea maintains 24 S-200 battalions. Each battalion operates 4 launchers. Each launcher holds 1 missile. Reloading takes 45 minutes under ideal conditions. If a bomber appears without warning, there is no time to prepare. The system depends on early detection to position missiles. Without warning time, coverage collapses to point defense. Point defense requires knowing where the target is. If the radar shows nothing, there is no target to defend against. Each S-200 missile costs approximately $120,000 on the refurbishment market. North Korea cannot produce them domestically. Stock comes from Soviet-era reserves and limited foreign suppliers. Firing 4 missiles per intercept attempt costs $480,000. North Korea's entire annual defense budget is estimated at $4 billion. That budget covers salaries, fuel, maintenance, and munitions for all branches. Wasting 12 missiles on false alerts or late scrambles drains $1.4 million. This is not unsustainable math. After the September incident, North Korea changed procedures. 2 MiG-29 squadrons were placed on permanent alert rotation, with pilots on 15-minute standby. Aircraft were kept fueled and armed continuously. The fuel burn rate to keep fighters ready was approximately 11 tons per day across both squadrons. After 60 days, that uses 660 tons from reserve stocks. North Korea imports fuel and storage capacity is limited. Drawing reserves in peacetime means less availability during an actual crisis. For more breakdowns of how resource constraints shape military decisions, hit the like button. The radar problem has no easy fix. North Korea's P-14 systems are effective against conventional aircraft. They detect South Korean F-15 fighters routinely. They track cargo planes, helicopters, even large drones. The issue is not the radar. The issue is what the radar is looking for. VHF systems detect aircraft by surface area and shape. A bomber reflects energy back to the receiver, which measures the return. Anything above a certain threshold registers as a contact. Modern stealth shaping reduces that threshold below what the system is calibrated to detect. Upgrading requires new radar technology. Low-frequency systems that claim better stealth detection exist. China produces models like JY-27A. Russia offers variants of the Nebo series. But these systems are massive. They require dedicated power supplies. They are not mobile. Deploying them creates fixed installations that can be targeted. Protecting them requires additional air defense. The cost multiplies. And even with new radars, detection is not the same as targeting. Seeing something at 200 kilometers does not mean you can hit it. North Korea attempted a workaround. In 2018, they began deploying additional observation posts along the coast. Human observers with optics and radio. The logic is simple. If electronic systems fail, human eyes might catch what machines miss. This works against low-flying aircraft in daylight. It does not work against bombers at 26,000 feet. It does not work at night. It does not work in weather. And it definitely does not work when the aircraft is already past the observation point before anyone realizes it was there. The strategic impact extends beyond air defense. North Korean doctrine assumes detection provides decision time. Commanders expect warnings before aircraft enter striking range. They plan responses based on having minutes to assess and react. When aircraft appear overhead with no warning, that decision time evaporates. Do you launch missiles at empty sky? Do you scramble fighters with no vector? Do you activate the entire network and burn through readiness for an enemy that is already leaving? Each wrong decision has a cost. Activating air defense consumes resources. Scrambling fighters burns fuel and pilot hours. Firing missiles depletes inventory. If the network activates after every surprise overflight, it drains itself. If it does not activate, commanders lose confidence in their own systems. Either way, readiness declines. This is how capability erodes without a single shot being fired in anger. Other nations observing this understand the lesson. Air defense networks built around the 1970s technology are liabilities. Detection systems designed for Cold War bombers do not address platforms engineered specifically to avoid them. The gap between what the network is built to see and what it actually faces grows every year. Closing that gap requires money, technology, and time. North Korea has limited amounts of all three. In 2024, the United States announced the first B-21 Raider reached operational testing. Radar cross-section estimated at 1/10 of the B-2 Spirit. The B-2 already operates below North Korean detection thresholds at range. 1/10 of that means detection ranges shrink from 40 kilometers to perhaps 4 kilometers. At 4 kilometers, weapon release has already occurred. At 4 kilometers, engagement time is measured in seconds. At 4 kilometers, air defense becomes a spectator. North Korea continues operating its air defense network. Crews still man their posts. Radars still scan. Commanders still issue readiness orders. But the network now functions with the knowledge that certain threats will never appear on their displays until it is too late. Defense becomes selective. Resources concentrate on threats the system can handle. Everything else is accepted risk. This is not doctrine. This is adaptation to a reality that cannot be changed with available resources. The September 2017 overflight was not the last. It was a preview. A demonstration that the sky above North Korea is contested in ways their systems cannot address. The bombers do not need to strike to achieve effect. The knowledge that they can reach anywhere undetected is sufficient. That knowledge changes every calculation Pyongyang makes about readiness, resource allocation, and risk. One fact remains. Air defense depends on seeing the threat before it arrives. When the threat is invisible to your sensors, defense becomes theoretical. North Korea can upgrade radar. They can add observers. They can train crews to higher standards. But if the aircraft produces a return smaller than the noise floor of the system, none of that matters. The aircraft is not hiding. It is simply below the threshold of what can be detected, and that threshold is not a software setting. It is physics. Subscribe for more breakdowns on why some systems fail before the fight even starts. Share this with anyone who needs to understand how capability gaps develop. And remember, in modern warfare, the side that remains undetected until weapons release usually controls the outcome.